What do we think about a fourth line rotation, or does it need to be more consistent? We preview the Vancouver Canucks and play shooting star, and some information about the Diamond Sports Group that affects you. That's next on Locked On Star.
Your Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer, 105 Through the Fan, and play-by-play voice of the Chippewa Steel. Be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. The Dallas Stars are back in action tonight, taking on the high-flying, high-scoring Vancouver Canucks, who are setting ablaze to the NHL this season, it feels like, and we will preview them and play some shooting star, a very good test for the Stars tonight inside the confines of the American Airlines Center. I want to touch on this fourth line today. It's been a trio of interchangeable parts recently. Do we like that, or does it need to be more consistent? And some information regarding the Diamond Sports Group in Bally, which of course has been a complete disaster, to put it lightly, and how that will affect you moving forward. Does not affect you too much, but figured I would relay some of that information. So let's dig into this fourth line, shall we? But first, today's episode is brought to you by Sleeper. Download the Sleeper app and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL to get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. So I want to start here with the conversation on the fourth line, because Pete DeBoer was asked yesterday about, is he trying to send a message with Radek Faksa, who was a healthy scratch on Monday for the first time this season? And I thought he gave a very great answer to the question on how some guys are separating themselves from others in their play, and they notice that. And if you're the odd man out, he's not afraid to sit you. And of course, Radek Faksa is making more than Matt Duchene, so to speak. And look, he's a healthy scratch. I know people have called for Mason Marchment to be healthy scratch last year, but sometimes the amount of money you make plays a factor. Look, you don't have to like it, but sometimes that does matter. Anyways, I'm not trying to get into that too much, but Radek Faksa, who, of course, has been a real stalwart on that fourth line, and we've seen it be very consistent in years past. You had the FCC line, then Luke Glendening came in. Last year, it did kind of flip and flop every once in a while. Dellandrea and Kiviranta was in and out, but for the most part, it's been very consistent. And now we're starting to see Sam Steele, Dellandrea, Smith all work in at different times. And with Radek Faksa being a healthy scratch, does this become something we see in the near future a bit more? And I do kind of like it. I feel like you can ride the hot hand a bit more. And Pete DeBoer is really looking for the fourth line to contribute offensively. And we know that it's not Radek Faksa's strong suit. He is your prototypical kind of older style fourth line center. He does a lot of things that do not show up on the stat sheet, so to speak. He is so good in his own zone. He's one of the best defensive forwards on the Stars team. He's arguably the best. He ranks in one of the tops in terms of expected goals against per 60 minutes, but his offense is absolutely lacking, and that's no surprise. He just has 6 points on the season, a couple of goals, and 4 assists. And of course, you would like more, but he's a dedicated penalty killer. The Stars penalty kill has been one of the best in all of the National Hockey League, so you have to give him some props there. But he did also touch on how he likes Sam Steele in the middle, where he can play center, and it gives them a bit different dynamic where they can get up and run a bit, out of their own zone, because Steele plays a faster game, and Steele has really turned it on in the month of December. He's been very, very effective. 2 goals, 6 assists so far on the season for a total of 8 points. And I really liked his game. I touched on it coming into the year about, I think he's going to be quickly a fan favorite for a lot of Stars fans, because he's just so simple in his play, He's not fancy, and I think that's what makes the fourth line so good. Craig Smith has been a wonderful, wonderful addition. It's kind of a crime he doesn't have more points or more goals this season. He's hit the pipe a few times, and it feels like he should have more, just 3 points, but he's played much better than that. And taking a look at individual expected goals on the season, Smith ranks 7th. 3.92, and this is provided by Natural Stat Trick, and that's behind Rope Hantz, Joe Pavelski, Johnston, Sagan, Marchment, and Duchesne. So he's above Robertson, he's above Jamie Benn, some notables there, and then Radek Faksa and Ty Dellandrea are towards the bottom, along with Sam Steele. But this is where I really want to make my point. The trio on the fourth line, I think, needs to be Dellandrea, Steele, and Smith, which we saw on Monday night against Seattle. I think it's a great combination of physical and skill because Radek Faksa, of course, he's great in the faceoffs, in the faceoff dot. I completely understand. It's going to be hard to keep him out of the lineup on most nights, and this is a very, very small sample size. I completely understand. This trio of Steele, Smith, and Dellandrea has only played together about 5 games in just over 25 minutes. So we don't have a large sample size to go off of, but take a look at this. Expected goals percentage, 65.4%. That is the highest on the team. And this is just 25 minutes of playing time. I completely get it. Expected goals per 60 minutes, 3.98. Of course, it's going to drop down because Marchment and Duchesne and Sagan by far are going to be the best with expected goals per 60 minutes. 3.13 is Marchment, Duchesne, and Sagan. But, I mean, just in the small sample size that we've gotten, Dellandrea needs to play every day. He's so young, and he can develop and possibly become a fringe top 6 forward for you moving forward. And he's made a real good impact in his last few. Of course, he picked up a goal a few games ago, and he's starting to find his stride. And I think he's starting to give confidence to Pete DeBoer to put him in the lineup every single day. So those are just a few of the numbers I really wanted to touch on with this fourth line. And I really don't mind a rotation at all. Look, Radek Faksa is extremely valuable, and I'm not advocating for him to be a healthy scratch every night, but if you can work him in and kind of ride the hot hand of a few guys, I think that's going to be very beneficial. And yeah, it does send a message to some guys when you're sitting up in the press box watching. Hey, you got to play better if you want to get in the lineup every single night. I don't think that's a bad thing, and it causes everybody to be a bit more hungrier, has a bit more competitiveness, and with the fourth line that proves like, hey, you got to earn your way on it, and if you're chipping in offensively, look, you're gonna play more. It's kind of the old adage in baseball where, look, your hitting's going to keep you in the lineup. Your defense is going to get you there, but your hitting's going to keep you there forever. And Sam Steele has certainly proven that recently. He's played in 25 games, and man, he's looked good on a few lines. I like where you can kind of just throw them together, and this kind of interchangeable parts thing, I think could be a big benefit to the Dallas Stars. Pete DeBoer did it where he was kind of like, hey, we're going to change up all the lines here tonight when they struggled to find offense, and anybody was kind of playing with anybody at that point. And I like the fourth line kind of being that line where you kind of have to earn your keep. I've been a proponent on Dellandrea playing every single day. I think he can be a really nice center iceman, in the near future for a line. Right now, he's not there, but he's a great, effective player on the fourth line, and he has that physical edge what the Stars really need. They've struggled against teams that bow up and play big. He gets in there and he's tenacity. He plays a good playoff style hockey game. I really do believe that. Sam Steele's been a great addition. He can penalty kill. And as Pete DeBoer mentioned, he does give them a bit more giddy up on the fourth line. And that's what he's looking for. Radek Faksa is not going to provide that. It's just that's his game. He's a shutdown center iceman in his own zone, which is great. But we know the way the modern game is played. It's hard to survive that way at all times. And you could also, the argument is, well, you need a better shutdown center iceman because the Stars defense is lacking and hurting, and they need all the help they can get. And look, I hear that, but sometimes a great offense or a great defense is playing offense and not being in your own zone. And that line of Steel, Dellandrea, and Smith was playing in the Kraken zone for a lot of the Monday game. And Pete DeBoer seemed to be very, very happy with that style against the Kraken. And I thought it was funny because they kind of asked him, well, analytically speaking and all this, what did you see? And I don't think DeBoer buys into too much about that. He just said he kind of likes their game. And yeah, I think the eye test works for them. They just seem to have some chemistry right off the hop, and they haven't played a ton together. But they ended up playing a really, really solid game against the Kraken. And I think that's a trio you need to ride with here in the near future. If it needs to be rotation, that's okay. Look, you got to try things, and people go down with injuries, and that's just the nature of a long 82-game season. You got to see what you got. And I think DeBoer's kind of leaned into that a bit. He's had to do it with the fourth line, or not the fourth line, but he's had to do it with the back end, with guys not playing up to standards. And if you're not, and you're not going to separate yourself to prove you belong, or he doesn't have confidence in you to play you, he touched on that with Harley, where, look, ice time does kind of symbolize how a coach trusts you and what situations you're playing in. And Niels Lundqvist was not getting those situations in tight games and being on the penalty kill. Thomas Harley is, and we've seen him blossom before our eyes. Anyways, so that is my topic about the fourth line, this rotation, which I kind of like. You kind of have to earn your keep, but I do want to see Dellandrea, Steel, and Smith a bit more. That is the offensive potential and upside that the Stars need if they need to beat teams like the Vancouver Canucks, who of course are in town and just putting up a show this season. Let's preview them and play some shooting star. We'll do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience, that's what brings home the winning trophy. It is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not your cash. Am I right, Stars fans? So go ahead and go to eBay Motors. They have all the parts you need at the prices you want. And it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. So the Vancouver Canucks are coming off a 5-2 win over the Nashville Predators a few days ago. And man, this team is having a season so far. This is another squad where I would kind of put them in the Ottawa category, where we were kind of waiting for them to pop at some point, and it was a very disappointing a season ago. They changed the head coach, and now Rick Tocchet is there, and he's done a tremendous job with him. He has done a tremendous job with the Canucks, and right now they're second in the Pacific, right behind Vegas. 22-9-2 record, 46 points. They rank first in the National Hockey League with 125 goals. And they're led by Quinn Hughes, man, who is right in the thick of the Norris Trophy conversation, along with Cale Makar. He's up to 41 points on. He's almost hit double digits, 9 goals already. And of course, Thomas Harley is nipping at his heels, but 41 points in 33 games. JT Miller's having a gigantic year, and this team cleans up on the power play, 24%. And JT Miller already has 7 power play goals. The trio of Pettersson, Miller, and Hughes have just lit the world on fire. And then Brock Boeser, you can't forget about him. I haven't even mentioned him, the league leader goal scorer, the goal scoring league leader, I should say, 23 tucks for Mr. Brock Boeser. Man, he's been so good. And that's also not to mention their Vezina trophy candidate and Thatcher Demko, who's having a heck of a season. But here's a few numbers I want to throw out to you about this Vancouver team who's so good at 5-on-5. And the Stars, well, they got a taste of that when they were in Vancouver last time and got shut out 2-0. Vancouver, 80 goals for on the season at 5-on-5. That is best in the National Hockey League. Goals against at 5-on-5. They're in the top 10 too at 50. They have the best goal differential at 5-on-5 in the National Hockey League this season as well at 30. They are a plus 30, which is 6 more than the Winnipeg Jets. They have a great goal percentage as well. They are just hammering teams at 5-on-5. This is a great test for Dallas. This is a very fast and young team that is getting a lot of production from everywhere. They are very aggressive. Tocchet loves a physical, kind of grinded out style of game. And Vancouver is really benefiting from it. They are kind of playing how the Stars would like to be playing. They are really stingy defensively, and they're cashing in and capitalizing in all facets of the game. And Demko has just been so good. 23 starts, 16-7 record, 921 save percentage, and 2.34 goals against average. And he's had some really good games against the Stars in his career. He's kind of one of those nemesis. It feels like even when he struggled last season a bit, when he faces the Stars, man, he just plays to a whole nother level. And he certainly did against Dallas when they first met a few months ago. So the Stars will certainly have their hands full. Vancouver, I think, is just such a good team. They have a combination of that speed and skill. Their back end is so good. Philip Hronek's having a huge year, 29 points on the back end too. I mean, talk about a top 4. And this is just a team that's playing with a lot of confidence. And the Stars are going to see it firsthand. 24% on the power play this season. They're just allowing 2.42 goals per game. Their PK is actually one of their weaknesses, and something the Stars could certainly take advantage of. Stars were 0-for-4 on the power play against Seattle. They could have ended that game in the third period easily, but just could not find the back of the net on the man advantage. So if this turns into a bit of a penalty fest, so to speak, it looks like the Stars could certainly have their way. But I want to highlight Thatcher Demko a bit more too, because he's just been so good, to say the least. Goal save above expected. He's best in that category, 15.8. 15.8. The next closest is Jeremy Swayman at 12.6, and Swayman's just played 15 games. It's still quite a bit, but Demko has played 23 already. His save above expected is one of the best. Man, he has been so good for them. So yeah, Thatcher Demko will be a great task. And I love the way Quinn Hughes plays. Pettersson is so crafty and creative. Those Swedes usually are. He has a little bit of a Forsberg in him from Nashville, where he's just so talented and he can do some things that blow your mind at wild points in the game. And he had a down year last year. He wasn't very happy about his production, but man, he's making up for it in a big way. 13 goals, 28 assists. Yeah. And this is a battle of 2 high-scoring teams. Look, Stars can put up numbers too. Offensively hasn't been an issue. They're 7th in terms of goals for at 107. 5-on-5 has been really good for them this season, but not quite to the level of Vancouver. And, of course, we're more concerned about how the Stars are going to defend this team. So what is your shooting star for tonight's game? Let me know in the comment section below. I feel like there's so many options. Matt Duchene, of course, is usually a hot one. I'm trying to go with somebody if I can spark a little offense out of them, right? Let's go with Roope Hintz. I like Mr. Hintz. 10 goals, 16 assists, 26 points on the year. Let me go with Rope, the finish. He hasn't had a goal since the Washington game when he potted the goal twice. He's actually been very, very good here in his last 5. He has 6 points in his last 5 games. And the top line has showed some life at some points. I would love to see Rope just take over a game. Haven't quite seen that. I feel like this season he did it really early. Maybe Vancouver wakes him up here. Rope Hintz is my shooting star for tonight's game against the Vancouver Canucks. Drop your predictions below as well. Stars have not beat a ton of good teams this year. In terms of playoff teams at the tops division, haven't beat Vegas yet. They struggled against Vancouver their first time out. They've actually fared decently well against Vancouver, but lost to Colorado. Boston came to town. And look, some of those teams are going to beat everybody. I completely get that. But Stars need to build a resume here and play good against great teams. And I think that will do a lot for us and kind of our confidence moving forward, because we don't have a lot to be confident about. I feel like if you're thinking down the road in a playoff series against teams like Vegas or Colorado, you really think the Stars can stand up to them for 7 games? I don't know. We haven't had a lot to go off of because they haven't played their best hockey yet. Look, that's sometimes a good thing. We're 30 games into the season. You got to be peaking at the right time, but they certainly need to play more consistent. Okay, let's talk about this Diamond Sports Group, which released some information. There's an Athletical article about it, and it does affect the local Metroplex. So I wanted to relay this information a bit too, because, of course, it's very interesting because Bally has been kind of a complete dumpster fire. I would love to hear your thoughts and takes on the whole Bally situation too. But let's do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Sleeper. A new NHL season brings all sorts of possibilities. The Stars could hoist the Stanley Cup, or Joe Pavelski could have 50 goals. Why not for the 39-year-old? And you can win big by paying daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app on Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our #1 choice for daily fantasy sports, and especially daily fantasy hockey. Because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contest. What do you and your friends like about Sleeper? I'll tell you what I like about Sleeper. It is so easy to use. You can join a group. You can join the chat functionality of the app. It is so easy to connect with other fans and play, and it makes your entry so easy. You can do it in under a minute. And the great thing about daily fantasy hockey is too, you can just pick studs and you don't have to pick a new lineup and take care of it weekly like you do on those full long seasons. You just pick some of those players. You can pick some of your favorite Stars players, Rope Hintz. You can do Miro, or just pick studs like McDavid and Ovechkin, who's actually having a down year. But anyways, you can just pick sleeper projections, more or less, on things like goals, assists. Sit back, enjoy the game, and have a chance to win 100 times your bet on Sleeper if you correctly predict the outcome of 8-player stats. You heard me, Stars fans. You can win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention, nail those picks, and you could start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL, and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and with location availability. I also want to let you guys know about the Locked On National Sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. It is here for you 24/7, covering the top stories of the day with local experts on Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. So go to Locked On Sports on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. So let me give you some groundwork here on Diamond Sports Group, who of course is with an agreement, and Bally's, which we all know has been broadcasting the Stars now for a few seasons. And then last summer they went into bankruptcy, and there was kind of in the air about how this was going to work moving forward. And there was an update, and this was released by The Athletic. And the NHL and Diamond Sports Group reached an agreement that would allow for Diamond's regional sports network, known as Bally's, to continue broadcasting uninterrupted through the end of the 2023-24 season. The deal revealed in court documents filed Wednesday impacts 11 NHL franchises. One of those is the Dallas Stars. It also ends those clubs' agreements with Diamond, some of which extended to 2030 at the end of the season, which I thought was very intriguing. And of course, that does affect somebody or some people from the local metroplex. You don't have to worry about where your stars games are going. I'm wondering where you're kind of in on this too, about kind of streaming and how it is trying to find games, because I find it so difficult and it's so infuriating. And one of the problems I had, especially last summer, in terms of watching the Ranger games, because I didn't have cable, but I did purchase Bally in order to watch Mavs and to watch Stars games, but that didn't include the Rangers because I didn't have cable, which was so infuriating. And the nice thing about moving out of the state was I could watch the games because I had MLB Network through my T-Mobile. And what's nice about not being here too is I don't get blacked out for Stars games. If I have ESPN Plus, I would have to pay for Bally. ESPN Plus, I believe, is a bit cheaper. And now I can watch all of the NHL action, and I get the Stars games without any issues, without getting into blacked out or any of that BS, so to speak. So I figured I'd relay some of this information just because, of course, it does affect. There is a deal which is similar reached with between the NBA and Diamond last month that will go before bankruptcy court in Houston on January 3rd. And I just find it such a hassle in a day and age where technology and our innovation has come so far. We just can't seem to get this right. Can't seem to get it right. Make it easier for fans to watch the game. Blackouts are just the worst thing in existence. Look, if you live somewhere, you should be able to get the game. I don't think it should be that hard. And look, I get there's money involved and there's things way above my pay grade that are having those conversations. And look, I may never fully understand why certain things are the way it is, but you would think it would just be so easy to get this right. For a league that struggles to really promote its game, you think they could just take down a lot of the red tape and make it easier to watch. And as someone that lived in DFW, his whole life and then moving out of it, it feels like it was easier to watch games when I was going to school in Minnesota and now living in Wisconsin than it was, because I got to jump through a bunch of hoops now because streaming is just all over the place. And you'll get blacked out if you're here, if you got this streaming service. I am really curious about what you use and how you find it is, getting Stars coverage, because when I was little it was like my 27. I went to my 27 every weeknight. We were watching late hockey games because the Stars were in California on their western road trip, and staying up till midnight watching Mikey Mo just destroy the Pacific Conference. So but that is an agreement for Diamond Sports. So I guess you don't have to worry if you do have Bally's. They will be uninterrupted the rest of the way. And of course, TXA 21 had the game last Saturday. They moved that. I think that had to deal with because of the state football tournaments. And look, football will always reign king. As much as maybe we hate that as big hockey fans, but look, I love me some football too. Of course, we're all Cowboys fans. Most of us are. So we root for them all. But football will always be king in Texas. That's just how it is. Okay, that is it. Enough rambling about Bally's. Dallas Stars in action tonight. Enjoy the hockey game. Vancouver Canucks in town. We'll have a reaction for you. We'll break it down tomorrow. Can't wait to catch you there. Thank you so much as always. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, put that notification bell on. Never miss an episode of Locked On Stars. Thank you to all you everydayers on here. Really so thankful for you guys. Because without you, I wouldn't be able to do this, and it would just be me talking, which to some degree I do, but love just the feedback and the interactiveness and just engaging with you guys. It does really help. So thank you once again. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and we will see you tomorrow. So long, Stars fans.